Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast countryside, there lay a vineyard renowned for its bountiful harvests. Each year, when the warm embrace of summer kissed the land, the vines would come alive with clusters of plump, succulent grapes, drawing creatures from far and wide with their tantalizing sweetness. Among the inhabitants of the surrounding forests was a cunning fox named Reynard. Reynard was known throughout the land for his cleverness and quick wit, but also for his insatiable appetite for adventure and mischief. It was on one such warm summer's day that Reynard found himself wandering near the vineyard, his senses tantalized by the sweet aroma wafting through the air. As he approached the vineyard, Reynard's keen eyes spotted the glistening clusters of grapes hanging from the vines, ripe and ready for plucking. His mouth watered at the sight, and he knew he had to taste their sweetness. With a mischievous glint in his eye, Reynard devised a cunning plan to satisfy his cravings. Bounding into the vineyard with nimble grace, Reynard leaped and danced among the rows of vines, his agile form weaving effortlessly between the foliage. But try as he might, the grapes remained just out of reach, teasing him with their tantalizing allure. Undeterred, Reynard continued his efforts, jumping and stretching with all his might, determined to claim his prize. However, despite his best attempts, the grapes seemed to mock him, forever remaining beyond his grasp. With each failed leap, Reynard's frustration grew, his pride wounded by his inability to conquer the vines. Yet still, he refused to admit defeat, his determination driving him to try once more. Hours passed, and as the sun began to dip below the horizon, Reynard found himself exhausted and weary, his energy spent in vain pursuit of the elusive grapes. With a heavy heart, he reluctantly conceded defeat, his pride wounded but his spirit unbroken. As Reynard turned to leave the vineyard, a wise old owl perched high in a nearby tree observed the scene with keen interest. With a knowing twinkle in its eyes, the owl watched as Reynard trudged away, his head hung low in defeat. "Ah, young Reynard," the owl hooted softly to itself. "Sometimes the greatest challenge we face is not in the pursuit of our desires, but in the humility to accept when they lie beyond our grasp." And so, as night descended upon the vineyard and the stars danced in the sky above, Reynard's failed trial served as a poignant reminder of the timeless wisdom that even the cleverest of creatures must learn to accept their limitations and embrace the lessons that failure can teach.